Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it.
So I was just scammed out of $925. And boys, I'm going to tell you the story of how that happened, and I'm going to relate to you how it applies to women and how we can use this concept to make ourselves way more attractive to women, to get better responses from women when we first approach them, and most importantly, be able to yank phone numbers, get dates with this all-important concept of being a go-giver. So what happened? So I'm driving in my car with my little girl. She's 4 years old, and we're listening to some punk rock. I absolutely love punk rock, bands like Good Riddance, Pennywise, NoFX, Lagwagon, and we're listening to all these songs, and she's getting into it, man. And this is cool as a dad. When you're into something and your kid gets into it too, man, it's one of the best things in the world. So we're blaring the shit. We have the windows down, and I go to pull into my garage. Well, I always back into my garage, and since it's a 3-car garage, we have 2 cars next to each other and then some extra space on the side. My space is on the left side, and I always have to back in, and it's kind of sketchy because I have to do a 90-degree turn as I'm coming into the garage. So I'm pumped up, little Lucia's pumped up, so I fucking floor it, dude, because I'm getting good at backing into my garage. And what happens? Bam! I hit the side of the garage. Absolutely destroy my rear headlight. There were pieces everywhere. I crushed my bumper, got a bad dent in the side paneling, and I was super bummed out. So I pull it in, we go about our day, I start calling the insurance agency, I go down to the body shop, and they told me that they're gonna have to have my car for a month. I don't know if you guys have ever had a car accident, but dude, a month? I can't be without my car for a month, especially in the summertime when I'm constantly going into the mountains, doing stuff, going camping, ATVing, motorcycling, riding mountain bikes, fishing, all the stuff that we do here in Colorado. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to be without my car for a month. So in my head, I was just going to do it like in October or November when it's cold and there's not too much to do out here. But I'm driving down Wadsworth Boulevard, and for those of you who live in Denver, you know where Wadsworth is. Driving down Wadsworth, and this dude pulls up next to me, and he's like, hey, bro, I can fix the damage on your car, no problem. I work at a body shop. I'm really good at what I do. It'll be like $600. So we're talking at the stoplight, and I'm like, all right, bro, meet me in the parking lot. So we pull over, and we start looking at the damage, and he's like, damn, what'd you do? I'm like, dude, I backed into my garage, right? And we're kind of laughing. Cool guy. And we decide to go ahead and move forward. So we have an appointment set. He comes over. He does great work. He pops out the dent. He pops in some new sick taillights that I bought. And he's looking at the thing and he's like, hey, man, you're going to need a new bumper. But it's not the entire bumper. It's just a bumper cover. Usually costs about $500 to $1,000. And I'm like, all right, man, let's go ahead and do that. Why don't you come back in a couple weeks or whatever once I get the bumper, and we'll go ahead and take care of that. So as the day goes by, we're texting with each other, and he's like, hey, my friend has a lot of connections to bumpers, so let's go ahead and get this one. It's OEM. It fits the Toyota 4Runner perfectly. I'll go ahead and grab that, and I'll bring it over, and we'll get it taken care of. And the guy had come over already. We had good rapport. So when he told me it was going to be $925 to get the bumper, get some Bondo and some other things that he needed, I was like, well, I already paid him money. Yeah, it's a little sketchy, but I trust the guy. I have his phone number. And what happens? I send him the money, and you guessed it, he ghosts me, blocks my number, doesn't talk to me anymore. And I was like, dude, are you fucking serious right now? You're really going to do me like that? And I was pissed off at first and then embarrassed. And honestly, it's a little bit embarrassing to admit this to you guys, but I fucked up, man. I trusted somebody that perhaps I shouldn't have trusted, but that's kind of how I am. I'm a genuine person. I would never, no matter what happened in society, do that to somebody else. And for the most part, people treat me well because I treat others well. I personally think that this was a result of some of the shitty things that I did to people in my 20s. I really believe that karma is real and that shit comes back to bite you. I don't know if you guys heard a podcast I did recently about how I used to drive strippers and we robbed a guy and we took his money. It was $150. And I've always felt really bad about that. Well, I kind of feel like this is retribution for that. And for me personally, not to brag, but $925 isn't the end of the world. Fortunately, I have a great business. I'm doing really well. So it's not like killing me, but it's the principle of the thing. You just feel like you've been molested or taken advantage of. You're embarrassed. You're ashamed. You're angry. There's all these negative emotions. And I just keep thinking back to the guy, like, what's this dude's life like where he's going to do that to somebody, where he's going to steal from people to try to get an advantage in life. But as we're going to talk about in this podcast, that actually makes your life worse. So as I'm sitting here angry, and believe me, guys, I'm not perfect. I had thoughts about fucking finding where he lives, sneaking up behind him and fucking choking him out when he's coming back from work, which I could do because I practiced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this guy was like way out of shape, dude. He had no wind. Like 30 seconds, this dude would be fucking gassed for sure. I've been thinking about that stuff, but in my mind, I'm like, look, I can't find him because I think he was using a burner phone. We cannot find his information anywhere, even though we put in his phone number, the name he gave me. I don't even know if it's a real name. So the way I'm thinking of it is this. Hey, listen, you're going to get yours. I don't know how, but you're going to get it. This shit's going to come back to you. And honestly, boys, here's how it works. This is literally how the universe works. So I really want you to pay attention. If you take from somebody, if you steal from people, if you fuck other people over, you are going to lose that much exponentially. It's going to be taken from you 10x or 20x what you took from somebody else. And this is why people's lives sucks who are takers. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about either being a taker or being a giver. And why being a giver is so much more powerful to manifest in your life what you really want. Because the law of attraction dictates you attract to yourself what you put out there. Very basic. You put out a compliment to somebody, a genuine compliment, like, hey, bro, that's an epic beard. Somebody's going to compliment you. You help somebody out, such as giving them a ride when they're stuck somewhere, which happened to me. I gave this kid a ride home whose tire blew out and he was like miles from his house. And then sure enough, boys, like last week, I was in the woods 10 miles from my car and my ATV quit on me. And I flagged down a woman and she drove me back to my car. I was able to grab the ATV. I feel like I earned those karma points in order to cash them in. And it always amounts to more than what you either took or what you gave. So this guy who robbed from me, whose name happened to be Mark too, at least that's what he told me, he's going to get his. So do I need to go take revenge on him? No, because violence, even well-intentioned, only rebounds upon yourself. And if I do that to him, something's going to come back to me. And it's like this perpetuation of negativity. So yeah, he fucked me over. I'm embarrassed about it. You guys may be thinking I'm an idiot, and maybe in some ways I was, but he's going to get his. I learned my lesson. Be more careful about who you trust, which is unfortunate. It really is. But I learned my lesson and I'm moving on from it. But I'm not going to change who I am, which is a go-giver. And that's what today's episode is about. It's about being a giver rather than a taker. Guys, there are so many takers in the society. They are selfish. They are seeped in their ego. They're just trying to get their own. But if you look at their lives, they always suck. To a man, a guy who screws other people over, he's always the unhappiest, most negative, low vibrating motherfucker you've ever met. And he just perpetually goes down and down and down that toilet bowl of despair, wondering, why can't I get an edge in life? It really reminds me of like hip hop music. And I'm not ripping on hip hop. I really enjoy it. I listen to it. But let's be honest. There's a shit ton of negativity. I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. I'm going to get one over on you. I'm going to have sex with your woman. It's a lot of negativity. And unfortunately, those guys' lives manifest a lot of negativity in that kind of culture of get one over on each other. Now, I'm not saying all hip hop music is like that. There's actually some really sick, positive hip hop songs. And even in punk rock and jazz and other places, there's negativity. It's just humanity. But that's one glaring example of, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get mine, and you can fuck yourself because it's me against you. But what we learn as the universal rule is that what you do to another, you do to yourself. And this is literally manifested in your life when you either screw people over or you go and you give something positive to them. And stick with me here because I'm going to relate this to women. So the thing I want to tell you guys is this. Do not be a taker, first of all. This is the biggest mistake you can make in life. I get so many takers in my inbox on a day-to-day basis. Hey, Mark, give me this. Hey, Mark, give me that. Hey, Mark, give me free coaching. Answer my questions. And if you've been one of those dudes who wrote in and I didn't reply to you, my non-reply is basically like, bro, you're a fucking taker, dude. And you need to reevaluate how you're doing your life. I've given you 86 episodes of free content, and you literally have the gall to write in asking me to coach you on this situation you have with this chick. First of all, I'm too busy. Secondly, dude, what have you given me in return? The reason I'm successful as a businessman is because I give so much value up front without expecting anything. The only thing I ask is apply to my program. Let's have a conversation. And honestly, bro, unless I can 10x your results with women, I'm not going to even take you as a client because I don't want to take a dude's money who I know I can't help. Because again, I believe in that karmic rule of if you screw somebody over, you're going to get screwed over. But so many people have the thought that if I just take and take and take, eventually I'll be able to reach that state of happiness and fulfillment. That is an illusion because the more you take, the more you just think about yourself. And when it comes to women, what can I get from her? If that's your mentality, you are going to get taken from time and time again. Now, as a caveat to what I just said, I'm flattered that you guys would want to write me and try to get advice from me. I'm flattered that you listen to the podcast. And brothers, I sincerely appreciate it. But if you're going to write anybody, not only me, but anybody wanting something from them, brothers, you have to give first because everybody's thinking what's in it for me, just like what you're thinking. You're only thinking what's in it for me. You click on my podcast. What am I going to get out of this? Am I going to spend 20 minutes of my time listening to this and come out better? Because that's all I literally care about. So you always have to think when you're trying to convince somebody of something, give first. Don't take first. I heard this piece of advice. Oh my God, it was so bad. And this is from a well-known dating coach where he said, if a girl ghosts you, follow up with her 2 days later and say, hey, Sarah, I have a favor to ask you. Got a minute? And I was like, bro, that is literally the worst thing you could possibly write a woman to try to re-engage her in a conversation where she ghosted you. Why? Because you're trying to take something from her and she's thinking, I'm not going to do him a favor. Why would I do him a favor when I just ghosted him? The much better method, gentlemen, is a podcast I recently did called the Black Hole Template, where you text the girl 2 weeks after she ghosts you and you say, hey, Sarah, I was talking to this pretty cool girl, but I think she got sucked into a black hole. Hope she's okay. That, unlike that other dude's piece of information, which I have no idea where he came up with that, gives value, makes her laugh, tells her she was a pretty cool girl, hope she's okay, hope she's doing okay, and it gives that value rather than trying to be a taker. And it reminds me too of all these people who try to come on my podcast. Gentlemen, every single day, I get at least 3 emails of people trying to become a guest on this podcast. And honestly, I don't take them because why? All they care about is themselves. They're always like, this is what I am. This is what I do. Here's my page where you can send your listeners to. They think they're like giving value to me, but literally only 1 or 2 times has somebody said, hey, Mark, if I come on your show, this is what's going to happen for you. And guys, you really need to understand this concept. What's in it for me? It's called with them. That's the only thing the other person is thinking about. So me as the podcast host, do you think I care that he's going to get a bunch of my listeners to go check out his shit? He's going to sell a bunch of stuff off the backs of you champions who trust me? Hell no, I'm defensive about you guys. I'm only bringing you the best guests. And that is honestly when that guest can reciprocate the amount of listeners that I'm giving to them. We're always thinking about what's in it for me. The problem is that a lot of us think what's in it for me so deeply, all we do is take. But the way to get what you want, and it's cool to want something. It's okay to want something. But the way to get it is to give first. You want a smile? Give a smile. You want a compliment? Give a compliment. You want love? Brothers, you have to give love. And this is so true with money. I cannot even explain it. I give 5 to 10% of my monthly revenue to charities every single month. And guys, it comes back 7x. And it actually says that in the Bible. What you give to another will come back to you 7x. And it's absolutely true. So I'm always giving bums money on the street. I'm always giving good energy, giving compliments. I'm always trying to hook people up except for really obvious takers because I kind of want to teach them a lesson. Like, bro, that's not the way to roll. And even sometimes I'll be like, hey, bro, you're kind of being a taker right now. I'm not going to give you what you want. Reevaluate how you approach and maybe email me again in a week. And we'll see about hooking you up with all this free content. So I'm always trying to give in the way where I could get back what I've been given. I mean, honestly, it feels good to donate to St. Jude and Action Against Hunger every month, but I'm not going to lie to you. A big reason is selfish. A of all feels good, and B of all, I understand this universal truth. When you're a go-giver, you get back 7x what you gave. So gentlemen, I want you to really sit down and think to yourself, am I a taker? Am I just trying to get things for myself? Or do I really care about others? Am I a good person? Does my head hit the pillow at night and I feel good about who I've been as a man? Or do I go through life trying to screw people over, flipping people off, insulting people, judging people, having mock arguments in my own head about what pieces of shit they are? If you live in that kind of reality and that kind of vibration, which make no mistake, I've lived in that vibration before too, you need to drop that shit like yesterday's garbage because it's only going to come back to haunt you. So when it comes to being a go-giver, it's exactly as it sounds, especially with women. When you approach a woman, the most important thing is that you give good energy. Why do we do that? Because everybody's thinking about what? With them. What's in it for me? That's all she cares about. She wants to know, is this guy going to bring my state up or bring my state down? That's all she cares about. So if you go in there saying, hey, you're hot, let me get your phone number. She's like, dude, you're just taking. You're just trying to take my phone number, take my pants off, take my panties off, and take my sex. That's literally what she's thinking. But when instead you go in, outcome independent, I don't care what happens, I feel good, and I want to make you feel good. Why? Because I'm a good person. I love those t-shirts that people wear nowadays. It says, be a good person. So simple, so true. And I'm happy to see that coming up in our society because I feel like there is an energy movement towards this reality, which is what you do for another, you do for yourself. So when you go up to a woman, the two most important things are good energy and tonality. Good energy means feeling better than she feels, going to give her that energy, and yes, give her a good conversation that's going to make her laugh. And boys, as my coach Talon always says, you want to give this chick a world-class experience. And I love that he says that. From the moment you open her to the moment she leaves your house after you had sex with her, it's an experience that you're giving to her. And when I say experience, I'm not talking about you buying her shit, blowing smoke up her ass, complimenting her, because if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that's not the right strategy. What you're giving her is, again, an experience. A feeling of being enveloped inside of a warm blanket that she can't get enough of. And you do that via your energy. You do that via storytelling, gambits, giving value, making her feel sexually attracted, blowing her up in the bedroom and make her look like a screaming demon that just got hit with a tornado. Give her that experience. That is being a go-giver. If you want her to be into you, you need to give what she wants, which is good state, good emotions, good feelings, and a little bit of frustration of not being able to get enough of you. Hence that 80-100 rule, only giving her 80% of what she wants from you. So again, I want you to evaluate yourself. Are you a taker? And if you are, admit it, bro, and say, yeah, I got some work to do, man. I do. And guys, it's good that you have work to do because what the fuck else would we do in this life if we didn't have to struggle to try to achieve the next best version of ourselves? But there's so many takers out there because it's quite natural. Selfishness is an instinctual survival mechanism to get mine because that's how I survive. But it's base level, it's primitive. We need to evolve to the next evolution of human consciousness, which is all of us together. What you do for another, you do for yourself. If you hook somebody up, you're going to get hooked up. There's a picture I like, and I've spoken about it several times in this podcast, but I'm going to end on this note. It's a picture where everybody has really long spoons, and there's a bowl of food in the middle. And you would think that with so much food in the middle, everybody would be fed and really well nourished. But the problem is everybody is super skinny and it looks like they're starving because when you dip the spoon into the food, you can't get it in your own mouth because the spoon is so long. So the point of the picture is if everybody were to just get their spoon, get some food and stick it in the next guy's mouth, then the next guy would feed them and everybody would be healthy and happy. So it's that selfishness of being a taker, just being in it for me. Fuck everybody else. I'm going to get mine. Just like that dude who scammed me out of that $925. That is taking down the society. That is making people miserable. And that, in my opinion, is a primitive level of consciousness that we need to evolve past. In order to get everything that you want in your life, give it first. This is such a universal concept. I just want to drum it into your guys' heads. You want money, you got to give money. You want good conversation with the girl, go give her good energy and conversation. You want good friendships, be a good friend first. Do things for your friends, not in an ass-kicking supplicatory way, just being fucking cool because you're abundant, brother. You have the resources that you can share with people. You have a moment to stop to help somebody who's struggling. You have the wherewithal and strength inside your head that if somebody does screw you over, you know, dude, he's suffering to a very high level and he's going to get his. I don't even need to take revenge on him because he's going to get his. The universal truth of karma, cause and effect, what goes around comes around, what you put out there comes back to you, is a truth that cannot be avoided. So let's evolve past this taker mentality. Let's be givers, gentlemen. Give first what you hope to get back, and all your dreams will come true. I'm serious. That is how powerful this is. So I hope you guys have gotten something out of this. Yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing that I got scammed, but maybe he needed the money. He's definitely going to learn his lesson, and that's his evolution. So in a way, I feel like I gave him $925 to learn something so that he can evolve to the next best version of himself. And who knows, man, either in this lifetime, next lifetime, or 1,000 lifetimes from now, it will come back to me in some kind of way from him. It's really what I believe. So to this dude named Mark, if that was really his name, sorry you're suffering so hard, bro. It must be really hard for you to live in that kind of vibration, because if you're going to do that to another person, you're definitely struggling. You're definitely trying to evolve to the next level, but not sure how to do so. You're pretty lost. So I hope you find the way. And if my $925 helps you find that way, then honestly, it was worth it. Gentlemen, I really appreciate you listening. In that vein of being a go-giver, perhaps you could give back to me as I've given so much to you. Reviews, telling friends about it, going to YouTube and subscribing. I'm trying to build up my YouTube presence, going to iTunes, leaving a review, leaving comments on Spotify, or even just kicking me an email and saying, hey, bro, thank you for all the content that you put out. And if you do that, I'm going to send you some cool shit because I'm a go-giver too. And that's what's cool is when you have two go-givers, they just keep giving to each other and they build each other up and up and up. And that's really the way we should be living as a society. Can you imagine if the entire world lived that way? Where we're like, instead of I'm going to kill you and take your country, let's try to help each other out. Let's share resources. We would literally have peace on earth. We would literally live in a paradise if we could just get out of this egoic mentality of take, what's in it for me, and instead be go-givers. I know it's a high, lofty goal, but I'm telling you, that's what's coming up for humanity to bring us into what we all are really after, which is happiness and peace. That's how it works, and I stand by it. I really appreciate you listening, gentlemen, and I will see you in the next episode.